your thumb aches, you have to take something. The Lord blessed me with, He took that away from me.
Amen.
For 10 years,
Amen.
I came up with every excuse in the book to take the pill. And when I walked out of that hospital, I had absolutely no desire to take anything. And the Lord took away that desire to even search for it, to even look for a reason. But I left the ER and went to the ICU. I stayed there for 4 days. Then I went to the psychiatric unit. It's on the 5th floor of our hospital. It's the top floor. I sat up there and I studied my Bible. And I prayed. I know the Lord got tired of hearing from me. I prayed so much. But it was heartfelt communication with God.
Amen.
That withdrawal is miserable. I mean, if anybody has seen it, your head aches, your feet ache, every joint you've got aches, your stomach's in knots, you've got diarrhea, you're vomiting. I mean, it's misery. I'd sit on the side of my bed in excruciating pain. And I'd close my eyes and I'd say, Lord, help me. Just help me some way. I could feel His arms wrapped around me. Did the symptoms go away? No. But He dealt with it.
Yes.
He gave me the peace to deal with it. When I came out of the hospital, of course I was on suicide watch. So Angie would take me to my mom and dad's, and I would stay with my dad through the day while she worked. That was another God thing. Those days along with my dad, God immediately began to mend a lot of torn relationship there. Me and my dad talked even after I got to stay at home by myself. He would call me every day, and he would say, Andy, how are you doing today? I'd say, good, I'm blessed. He'd say, that's good. He said, I know what you're doing is hard. And he said, I'm proud of you. Now, this is a man that just a month or so ago was so disappointed in me that he couldn't trust me with a pencil. A month later, he's proud of me again.
Yes.
That's God.
Yes. Amen.
That's the only one that can do that.
Amen.
Shortly after I got back home, we started going back to church. And, we went to church that night. And we started working with the youth, with the teenagers. And I got to go to a thing called Dare to Share. And it's where the teenagers get together. There's like 5,000 teenagers in an auditorium singing and worshiping God and so forth. And I loved it. I mean, it was what I needed at the right time. And then later that summer, I got to go to camp with my son, my oldest son, who at the time was 15. And of course, at 15, you can't hang with dad. You can't even acknowledge that dad's even around. But he was very supportive. He never judged me. He never anything like that. Midway through our camp, there was an accident, and one of the kids there at camp had hit his head, and he had a vascular problem that he ended up passing away. The evening that they told us that, me and the counselors were on the back row, and a couple rows up was my son with his friends. And the first thing I wanted to do was go up and grab a hold of my son. That's instinct. But of course, I wanted to respect him too, So I thought, well, I'll talk to him whenever we get back to the dorms. Well, they let all the congregation go, and the counselors stayed back to make sure that no stragglers were around. And the kids all go out, and we start walking out. I walk through the double doors going to the outside, and everybody's gone except one kid standing here by himself. That's my son. He wanted to come up and give me a hug and say, "I love you, Dad." That's God. That's what. I talked to Brother Fred a couple of weeks ago, and we were talking about, relapse is part of addiction and that kind of thing. And I thought, if I could just give the addicts just a minuscule, just a taste of what he's done in my life. Oh. And I know I was hard-headed, I was stubborn. I fought it with everything that I had. But now, it's been an amazing journey.
Amen.
The last 3.5 years. Angie and I are probably closer now than we've ever been.
Yes, yes.
We've surrendered our lives to the ministry. Wherever the Lord takes us, that's where we're going.
Our oldest son had accepted Christ when he was 8 years old. But since this time, our 2 other sons have now accepted Christ and both are baptized.
Amen.
And Christ is just the center of our home. It's just a different home. My oldest son even said that to my mother-in-law about a month after of Andy's sobriety. He said, home is just different. He said, my mom's happy again. So I didn't realize that he did see my happiness. But as Andy said, he's 3.5 years now sober. In December, we will celebrate our 20th anniversary. And I'm just looking forward to everything that God has for us. Our oldest son is now getting ready to start college. I know we don't look old enough to have a college son, but we are. So, and the Lord is leading him to a Bible college.
Amen.
So,
Amen.
I'm just excited to see what God has for us.
There's so many things I want to share. And during the addiction, we had nothing. I mean, everything that we got, I wasted. Now, our first Christmas after I got sober, and for several years before this, it was like I always ran out of whatever it was I was taking on Christmas Eve. Why? I don't know. But I would get up early on Christmas morning before everybody else did. I'd leave the house and take off and go try to find whatever it was. And a lot of times I wouldn't make it back home until later on Christmas Day, and Angie wouldn't let the boys open their presents up unless I was there. So it was Christmases weren't that happy at our house. Our first Christmas that I was sober, when we went to bed Christmas Eve, I told Angie before we went to sleep, I said, "I'll be here when you wake up in the morning." When I woke up that Christmas morning, of course I still woke up before everybody else in the house, but I went to the living room and I sat in my chair, in my recliner, and I prayed and I thanked God for Christmas, what it stood for the sacrifice that He gave on the cross, and for saving my life, and giving me something to live for. Now Christmases are a happy occasion. Christmases are joyful in what they're supposed to be. My birthdays are sweeter. Even though I get older, I get the chance to get older. Our anniversaries are better. We're not worrying about all the other junk. I don't know all the answers to addiction, but I know the one that counts, and that's Christ. I've talked with and worked with a lot of addicts since I've got sober. Some of them have beat it without Christ. Some of them have been through 12-step programs. But I talk to them on down the road and they're not happy.
Right.
They're not. their life's not filled, the only way to get that's with Christ.
Amen.
That's why this program that Brother Fred preaches, it gave me the tools to use on a daily basis to make the right choices. It gave me the tools to deal with the problems that we deal with every day. Our life is blessed. Every day it's blessed. But we're still a couple that has 3 boys, 1 going to college, a house to keep up. We have struggles. Everybody has struggles. As long as we live on this earth, we're going to have struggles.
Yes, amen.
The addict finds answers to those struggles in pills, needles, bottles. We've learned through this program, through Christ, that He is the answer to those problems.
Amen.
Not the pills, the needles, and the bottles. And that's what this program teaches. That's what it gives to the addict. It's not a program that they can come on Friday night and stay clean the rest of the week, because there's no accountability there. It has to be something that they choose, their own choice,
Yes.
to commit to Christ and to use the tools. As much as Angie loved me, as much as my mother loved me, they could not keep me clean. That was my choice. It was my choice every time I took a pill, every time I stuck a needle in my arm. It was my choice. It was nobody else's. Nobody forced me to do it. Nobody can force any other addict to do it. It's their choice. Same as get this program going, get these people under the Word of Christ, give them the tools to use, then they start making the right choices.
Amen.
Then lives change. Then 3 years from now, maybe somebody that you know, a family member, somebody that's struggling out there in the community right now, 3 years from now, maybe they're standing up here giving their
Amen.
testimony about the glory and the wonder that God's done in their life.
Yes.
Yes.
I'm prejudiced because I'm an addict and it's the only thing that saved my life. But for mothers, fathers, brothers, sisters, aunts, uncles, this program can change your life also. Because that addict touches everyone around them.
Yes.
Even if you don't know anybody that's an addict. If you think that you're immune to it, addiction touches everyone in this room. Absolutely everyone.
Yes.
Whether it's prescription costs, whether it's, taxes for added law enforcement to fight it. Everybody in here is touched by it. So there's nobody that can say, this doesn't affect me, so why should I do it? Everybody in here is affected. Everybody in here can benefit. So, like Angie said, I thank y'all for letting us come. Being able to share my testimony and what the Lord's done in my life, it makes the blessings that I receive every day that much greater.
Yes.
Amen.
Yes.
Because it reminds me each and every day
Right.
of how glorious He's been to
He
me.
brought
Yes.
some. Yes.
Hearts
Amen.
Alive new slogan per se that Fred has introduced in the last couple of weeks is love them to freedom.
Yes.
And that's exactly what he did for me and my family. And I just urge you to, even if they won't talk to you about it or they won't admit to you that they have a problem, just pray. Just pray and give it to God. Just totally give it to Him. And He will see, His will be done.